Два наушники.
А це якщо будуть питання, якщо переставити. А є така можливість?
Є.
Окей.
Тобто, якщо потрібно, то два на столику, один на трибуні. Ти за трибуною стоїш. І, будь ласка,
Welcome, everybody. We are the media center of Ukraine at Ukrinform. We are into the 149th day of the full-scale aggression of Russia. We are holding a presentation of the online platform, helping the foreigners to donate for the sake of the Ukrainian armed forces. Let me introduce to you our speaker, Chmut, the director of the charity foundation Come Back Alive. Oleksandr Arhat is the co-founder of the military portal, and Anastasia Tymoshenko representing the IT company EMPAT. Mr. Taras will start, or rather, welcome. Today we would like to tell you a history of the project that is launching today. On the one hand, it will help to destroy the enemy more efficiently. Secondly, it will empower our foreign friends to participate in this project and to receive for this an emotional and evidence-based pleasure to see very specific indications of their help and participation. As for the history, about a couple of months ago in May, one of our friends said that it would make sense to mark the shells with the languages otherwise than Ukrainian. Why don't we deliver a message of a more global scope for the whole world to understand a simple thing? This is not a regional war between Ukraine and Russia. This is a global war where the free world opposes the world of authoritarian rule. Our foreign friends and ourselves, we talked and we came to a conclusion to write in Dutch that this is the retribution for the MH17 downing. Sometimes we see on the news different news feeds that we receive some donations. But what we did is that these were Ukrainian artillery specialists with their idea. So there was a demand to make sure that the foreigners should participate in this war in this particular way and to revenge for all Russian misdeeds, killings that they have been doing to Ukraine for centuries. We have prepared different markings in Polish for Katyn or in the Czech language for the Prague Spring. Now, in a nutshell, let us look at a video that represents the sense of our idea. The idea is very simple. For the inscriptions depicting the revenge idea that Russia has committed around the world, our proposal is for the foreigners to donate, and we believe this must be done immediately, not to some unclear bank account, but to the foundation that is trusted by everybody, a foundation that has proven to be very effective. That's called Come Back Alive. This is why we have Taras with us on the podium today, and I would like him to tell us what the reason for people to pay for such inscriptions. Welcome. I am Taras Chmut, the director of the Come Back Alive Foundation. You know, the war is a very expensive thing. The war that Ukraine is waging the war now is not the war when we oppose not only Russia, but the idea of authoritarian rule. Sometimes the people who support us have a lot of memories from their grandfathers, relatives living in Poland, people who remember the Second World War, people of the Ukrainian background, people that are reliving in a very immediate way the whole history. Part of those people are willing to help Ukraine very specifically in the project that what I hope to be the future Ukraine's victory. We see this as one of the instruments and tools that the foreign supporters of Ukraine can help us through the volunteer arms to contribute to the armed forces. The mechanism is very simple. You have to fill out some questionnaire. Of course, it is reviewed, and our military will define on what cartridges or shells such inscriptions will be put. On our side, we think it is important that this money is spent on something that immediately helps the Ukrainian armed forces on the state level. We are talking about the connection, the bond, the efficiency of a more efficient way of the existing weapons and the one that will be purchased in the future. Everybody who contributes to this foundation Come Home Alive will receive the photo of their inscription unless it contradicts the logic. So our target audience is the foreign audience. As Oleksandr has suggested, for the foreigners, the average price will be a little higher than for the Ukrainians, and we think it makes sense. Such histories are not supposed to be very massive. This is very personal for people, and we believe it has to be monetized in a way. When we talk about the Ukrainians, do we have such a possibility? Yes, the service is widely accessible. You know, we cannot discriminate between the way how you donate or contribute or support us. Anastasia, the floor is yours. Welcome. Let me remind you that I represent today the startup company EMPAT. We are developing the mobile application and web projects. Why do we participate in this project as a volunteer project? We are on the market for more than 9 years, and we've been very active in our volunteer project, although we didn't blow our own trumpets. Apart from personal stance, we are interested in other volunteer projects. We stand ready to do what we can, and that is to wage the war on the IT frontline. Over the period since the full-scale aggression. We've developed a number of projects less aggressive, for example, the medicine project and the information area. When we had an offer to get involved in something more aggressive, to get the message across to our enemy that we are able to avenge for the sufferings, our team has been excited about the idea. And we had some arguments about how we are going to get engaged, because everyone was willing to participate to make sure that they, the enemy, know that we are able to do something more than develop mobile applications. Why have we joined? We want to bring closer the Ukraine's victory. And of course, we wanted in financial terms. What I'm saying is that we wanted the whole world to know that it's not only Ukrainians that can help our military, but we would like to empower the foreigners to contribute with their donations to avenge for the bloody war that we are facing. Our foreign friends who would like to participate, are they supposed to go through the link on the site, or there are other ways to fill out the form? You go to the website, and right there on the front page you will see a form to be filled out. There are a couple of spaces to fill in. It doesn't take a rocket science to work that out. We wanted the interface to be user-friendly, that you can go along without further instructions. So there is a space to be filled in with your bank account and your banking card. Now the questions from the floor to our panelists. Ukrinform, Ivan Evsekin. A small question. What is the foreign involvement in contributions to the foundation Come Home Alive? Have I understood you correctly that the money for the Revenge for donations will not be spent on the inscriptions on the shells, but rather to the general need of the armed forces? Second question is, the answer is positive. Yes, every shell costs about €1,500. When we talk about mines, the price is less. So we are talking about thousands of shells. To buy such a batch requires a lot of money. So we are talking about the general needs of the Ukrainian armed forces through our foundation Come Home Alive. And the second question is the ratio between the contributions from Ukraine and from abroad. You see, some of the contributions we cannot trace down. You don't know where it comes from. The foreign contribution that we receive from some countries, we don't know who has sent it, because we are talking about the transit banks. But our observation is that 70% of the general sum comes from Ukraine or from the Ukrainians. Those Ukrainians, for example, that are living in Poland now. How can we consider them? Yet these are Ukrainians that are living abroad for the time being during the hostilities. Taras, how are you going to report on this project through your Come Home Alive Foundation? It depends on the volume. If the volume is not that small, so the foundation will account for that in general accounting. But if the amount is bigger, it'll be separated as a unique item of accounting. Colleagues, questions, please.
Said I was confused. The 70% figure on donations to to the group is Ukrainian and 30% is basically foreign contributions, what would your target be? In a perfect world, what would that figure, say, 3 months from now, look like? Like, are you targeting more foreign donors? Would you hope to get 90% from foreign donors that have no connection to Ukraine? And second question, on the payment page, I see that the payee is Come Back Alive, not Revenge For. So I was wondering which group is handling the donations, because in the U.S., when it's different, when the payee is different, we get very jumpy because we're expecting to donate to one group, and then on the payment page, if it's different, it sets off red flags for us.
Почну з першого питання. Дякую.
I will begin with the first question. In general, we are interested to step up the donations we receive from abroad to cooperate with the foreign Western societies, with the Americans in the first place. For Ukraine, the contributions to the Ukrainian armed forces through the charity foundations is tightly connected to the economic status of the Ukrainian population. And you know, our ability in terms of money we have available is going down, and that's naturally. Unlike the Western population, we are interested in getting more and more of the Western societies to get engaged. We plan and we hope and envisage that in the future, Western participation will be at the level of 95%. The Come Home Alive Foundation cooperates with a number of volunteer communication organizations and from other spheres and areas. These are different projects, and on the portal we'll have a separate division targeting the Western societies and audiences. When we make a specific photo, that will be done through the Come Home Alive Foundation. Have I answered your question, sir? Welcome, Katerina Seprum from Militarny website. What's your idea of how to target the Western audiences? This is important, isn't it? How the Western audience will get the specific address of your site. The Militarny website is the front page communicator here. We have developed a very well-sourced English language pages. Almost half of our audiences are non-Ukrainian people, so on a daily basis, the information is available for the thousands of foreigners. We will also engage consultants, specialists in digital realm. We will launch specifically targeting programs, targeting the sympathizers of the Ukrainian cause. So on the go, we will define what specific programs to launch, and we will be on the top of the situation, tracing down what you call a link to the site to make sure that the target audience receives such an information on how to contribute to such a inscription. I hope that currently we will have about 100 requests per day, but we'll see as we go. If there is an astronomical demand, thousands of requests a day, that will be beyond our capacity to cope with this, but we will distribute that in timely manner. We saw the outrageous support for the Come Home Alive project since the beginning of the full-scale aggression. There was a surge in the requests. Do you see that as the time goes on, the interest is going down? Of course, you are trying to stimulate and incite people to participate. How do you prevent the fatigue in interest? You see, in the first day of war, we saw the peak of interest in Ukraine and beyond. At the time, went on, the support seems to be declining. This is everything that we have witnessed since 2014. There is nothing new here, but the war has taken on a new phase. In the sphere of security, the Ukrainian armed forces has trebled the fire that we are on the receiving end is astronomical. The money that the country has to spend on the armaments is skyrocketing. We are talking about the in terms of 2 weeks' time or a month's time. Of course, the money that we accrue is spent very quickly, and we want to make sure that this is a sustainable process to ensure our victory. The economic health of the Ukrainian population is going down. That's why we are targeting the Western audiences. We want to have our branch in America open now. We want to engage American businesses on a more active basis. And also we want to target those people in the West who would like to participate, but they don't know how, and they are not sure that their contributions will get to the customer, the Ukrainian armed forces. We've just came back from the American. We saw in the United States the interest of the Americans in how to help Ukraine, but they want to make sure that their contributions are not abused. Let us think and talk to our potential contributors. Would you tell us and them what will be the priority for these contributions to be spent on? Currently, there are key areas of requests apart from the shells and ammunitions of the former Soviet Union that we are now coming to an end. The air survivals, the quadruptors of 70 kilometers range and beyond, and all the equipment related to that, tablets, equipments, batteries, and so on. Another point is the communications and operation command and rule of the armed forces. And the last one is the mobile ability of our forces, pick up mobiles, for example. But that's in general. And of course, the request for the Ukrainian military is limitless. Questions from the floor. Thank you very much for your participation. Hopefully your project will be a powerful tool for the help of the Ukrainian armed forces. Glory to Ukraine. Stay with us.